Hello, everyone. This is Leimomi, Keliikuli, Intuitive Online Mindset Coach here. I'm so excited to have Sally Hendrick here, who's a Facebook ads expert. And we are going to talk about target marketing. And we are actually going to share more about like this with more episodes of other people sharing about their genius. And so my episodes about mastering your superpower interview series is just to get like people who are amazing genius at what they do, share their story, their brand, and give some perspective of what digital marketing, which is really cool. I love talking about digital marketing and targeting and stuff like that. So we're going to bring on Sally here, who's amazing Facebook ads expert. Why don't you tell us more about who you are, what you do, how did you become a genius at what you do?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. As far as how I got into this, I actually started out as a fitness coach and I was helping other fitness coaches. And what happened was I was learning marketing software and nobody else was learning that. And so I decided I wanted to teach it. And then I went into learning about Facebook ads and so on and so forth. And here I am. My background is in statistics, and so that's where I ended up landing when I got into digital marketing.
Oh, beautiful. So you're like really like into math and looking at numbers and stuff.
Yes, yes.
So tell us more about, from your perspective of your genius, why is it important, to learn such things, like, of course, with statistics and, getting to Facebook ads, but like, why is it important for people to learn this so that they can really create a life of success?
Well, what I do is I teach people how to get the proper type of leads, the quality leads they need for their business to be on autopilot so that they can do the work that they actually love to do and let their lead generation be automated.
Yeah, we need automation.
Yes.
I think it's one of the biggest struggles with spiritual entrepreneurs is like figuring out like how to convert them, like bringing in the traffic. So when it comes to like digital target marketing, like what do you actually do to help them with those aspects?
Well, first we break down, the benefits of what they're doing. We make sure that the copy we put out there really speaks to, the destination, not the means of transportation, if you will, for people to get into what they're doing. So that's how we start. And we also talk a lot about, who are their competitors, who are other brands that their ideal clients use or follow, and we just dig deeper and deeper into that so that we can develop a really good audience for the spiritual entrepreneurs.
Perfect. Yeah, I remember when I had some Facebook ads expert and working on my business, like we went through this whole long process of like, okay, here's your brand. This is your message. Okay, check your messaging, check your copy, and check like all of these little things. And I'm like, wow, it's incredible how we don't pay attention to those little things. So obviously that's what you pay attention to, right? And figuring out like the means of getting people more engaged, right, to their audience as well. So it's really a dynamic relationship, I found.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So growing up as a child, like how does like this, numbers and stuff go into play, like why you do this today, that made you become this today?
I always liked math, and my math teachers were my favorite teachers, and they also saw in me that I had a talent with math, and I ended up majoring in math in college. So growing up, it just was the path that I landed on. And that's how I ended up liking Facebook ads ultimately after I retired from my previous career.
And what was your previous career as well?
I was an actuary, which is a statistician for the insurance industry.
Oh, wow. See, so you've always been like on this path of like numbers and figuring things out, how they work and analyzing and breaking it down to detail. That's really cool. So tell us maybe a vulnerable story about your life or business, like Was there ever a time when you felt misaligned, where you didn't really feel in alignment with your soul or your direction? I'm sure, like, it sounds like you've already figured out what your path is, but like, were there parts where you didn't feel that connection?
Definitely. In fact, just a year ago, I had a moment where I had a lot of doubt about what I was doing, and I felt, well, am I really good at this, or am I an imposter at this? You go through that imposter syndrome whenever you're doing, you say you're an expert in something, and I almost quit. I was looking for a job just to go back to the workforce and not do this anymore. And my business was changing. It was growing. Things were not the same as they were before. And I think that I just got really scared is what it was. And scared of the change that was happening. But I came through it. So here I am now. Everything's fine.
So it was just like questioning, yourself, basically. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we go to stages where, like, yeah, I can do this. I'll figure it out, get it done, and I'm sure you've done that most of the time, right? And then suddenly,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of the time.
am I doing this right? Am I, like, stepping into what I actually want to do? So did you take like some time off or something, like, to kind of figure out what that was, or?
I dialed it back a little bit. I still had kept my feet wet, and I still, stayed visible so that I didn't lose what traction I already had. But I wasn't really taking on any private clients. And then finally, I started taking on more private clients. And then I decided I would teach another round of Facebook ads to my membership, and that worked out really well. It was taking the action that really got me going again, and got me realizing that I do know what I'm doing here. I even joined a couple of masterminds of people who are much more well-known than I am, just to make sure that my knowledge base was as much as I needed it to be. And it was. I was fine. I spent that money, but it was money well spent because I was able to get that verification that I was doing the right thing.
Right. So I think it was just like taking a step back and going like, this is truly the right path or not? Because I'm sure, like,
Mm-hmm.
you're like been doing this for so long. Because I think there's at some points where you're like, I've been doing this like so long. Maybe I don't know much like anymore, right? Like questioning whether it's enough.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it was just like a reminder and giving yourself permission to like go forth with it as well.
Yes, definitely. It did give me the permission I needed.
So now that you're kind of like getting back into the groove, because I think we get into a new rhythm, right? Like, especially in the new year, we get into a new rhythm going like, okay, this feels good, this doesn't feel good, and, getting rid of stuff and, starting anew. And when you got your feet like wet in it again, was there any other things that you've noticed about your family life or aspects of your life that just needed some addressing? Or was it just all that stuff of giving yourself permission again?
Yes. No, it was, I discovered that I really needed to slow down in my business and slow down in my obligations, and just do, focus on the one thing that I need to be working on, and not try to do everything and be everywhere and teach everything. And so I ended up focusing down into just Facebook ads, because I used to teach a lot more with sales funnels and creating programs and organizing programs and things like that. And it was too much. I was having to launch something new every other month, and it was weighing on me. And so I decided that focusing in on just Facebook ads was where I really needed to be. And I've been doing a lot of yoga lately, a lot of different meditation and things like that, to get my mind right and to calm down from all of the busyness that I used to have in my life.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think that happens when you start to expand, right? You go, oh, I just want to try this and try this and try this, and it just adds up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to go,
Yeah.
wait, what? I have like two hands full. There's like no way I could do anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like, okay, I'll just drop that part. Now I have like an extra hand to use as I wish, right?
Hmm.
With the hand that was very, very much the focus in the first place, but you just forgot that that was the focus. I love that. That's very much about business and soul alignment that I talk a lot about with my clients as well. Like we forget about like what is our real genius, and because we're trying to get the needs, like finish the needs of what our ideal person needs, but actually just like focus
Hmm.
on that one thing that you're really good at, just like pops everything else back into place into what your actual genius is. So that's a really, really good example. They get to take
Thank
a
you.
step back and go, wait,
Yeah.
what am I really an expert at? It sounds like
Yeah.
the numbers, right? The statistics, like trial and error,
Yes.
which a lot of people are not really good at that. So that's a really specific skill, right? Looking at numbers, looking at copy,
Hmm.
for like everything works. Like a
Yep.
what do you call it? A well-oiled machine, right?
Hmm.
And then going, okay, this is working, this is not working. Okay, take that one out, right? So
Exactly.
when when you when you work with people, like so in terms of right the digital target marketing, like what's the process that you take your clients in, like that helps them to really really find out what that genius is?
Well, the first thing that we do is we do an audit of their entire process. I look at their sales funnel. I look at, what their opt-in is, what their freebie is, whatever it is that they're getting to people. I take a look at their landing pages and make sure that everything is in order. And then, I do this audit basically, and then I give them a report that says, these are the things that you need to pay attention to, and basically go through an action step list with them, and then we'll meet again before they can even do ads. A lot of people want to come to me and they want to just start ads right to their sales process, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second, you've got a whole lot more to cover first before you can just start doing ads and thinking that people are going to buy your course or your program without warming them up first and having them get to know you, get to know your brand, and and having you give a lot of value before you ask for anything.
It's true. I think like we're so caught up with the outcome, like, hey, this is what is going to happen at the end, but actually there's a whole process to it, right? Before you
Mm-hmm.
actually even date and get and get like the end result of the exchange that you're doing with your audience as well. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I like that because it's kind of what I do also with my clients, but I do it from their soul perspective. I do a blueprint. I create a blueprint for their soul in their Akashic
Uh-huh.
records and get all that information. And then from there, tell them exactly what I see, like an audit. and
Like
then
an
through
audit, yeah.
there, and then through there, we figure out like, hey, what's working, what's not working in your life and your business, and how can we make this so much more in flow and so much
Mm-hmm.
more easier. And take them through the stages of soul and business alignment that I've created as well. So I'm sure you have like the whole steps, right? Once you have that audit done, then it tells you everything that they need for the rest of their life.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And then they go through the steps, and then when everything's ready, then we get started on doing Facebook ads.
Right, because Facebook ads is just it's just that one specific process after you figured out, right, the offer, the little details, right? And then when you got
Mm-hmm.
them all set up as a funnel, this is what I've learned as well through Facebook ads,
Yes.
doing with the marketing agency as well. Like there's just so much parts of it. And if there's like
Mm-hmm.
one part that's off, oh my God, like the whole funnel just sucks, right? Like it's not converting. It's so cool to watch. And I'm sure that's what you're like watching, right? Looking at the numbers and going, ooh, that
Yes,
works.
knowing which parts of it's working and which parts are not working, and being able to read the numbers and tell people, well, this is probably what's happening, just by looking at that.
So how do you figure out like if that's really their target market? Like do you just have a talk with them about what they actually want to do, to work with a person. And then you figure it out through the copy and everything else. Like what's the process of that? I'm sure, because my audience is going to be like, that sounds really cool. But like, how do I hone into that one person that I really want to work with?
Well, first of all, you've got to understand, where is it that they're hanging out? What is it that they're buying? What is it that they are paying attention to? What needs are you fulfilling? Those sorts of things. We go through and we pick out the keywords that are important, and then we go and see what we can target on Facebook. Understanding your target market by answering a bunch of questions is one thing, but then you have to go to Facebook and understand how to make a digital blueprint out of that.
Which is what the audit is all about as well, right?
Yes.
That blueprint. Without that blueprint, then you're kind of like, what are we actually targeting, right? And all of the aspects that you do with the ads itself. Wow. So I'm sure like you went through a whole journey of coming back into alignment and like being excited about what you do and all. But like when you feel like things get hard and you feel like giving up, what's the kind of things that helps you to keep going?
Well, I like to slow down for one thing, and talk to friends, reconnect with my family, that sort of thing. And then, and I check up with people, I stay in touch with people that have been my biggest supporters out there online. I've really met a lot of nice, great people in the online space, people that I've never seen in person before, but they've been extremely supportive because they know what I'm going through as an entrepreneur in the digital marketing space. So, I try to stay connected with people.
That's true. If you don't have some form of connection, you can get kind of lost into like, oh my God, there's just so much stuff to do. Rather than, hey, like, let's take a step back. Let's have like a genuine conversation with somebody that you really care about. And of course, that's the most important things in life. But when things get hard, that's when you really should be able to lean back on somebody, or just to hear their story about it. I'm sure it really helps as well. And this is also why I share this interview series, because I feel like we go through so much patterns of like, oh, this is awesome, and like, oh my God, I don't know if I can get out of bed, and we go through like the process of the pain. But through hearing people's stories and hearing about their genius, it kind of like motivates us again to go like, oh, I can do this, I can create this. And I'm sure you've went through that as well, right? Going, no, can I keep going with this? And leaning on to somebody is one of the best things you could do, right?
Yes, definitely.
So how do you define success? Because I love this question, because everybody has a very different definition. But like, how do you define success? Like what kind? Of course, you went through a lot of pain. You've endured so much to where you are now. But how do you define that?
Gosh, that's kind of a hard question, isn't it? Because it can be defined in so many ways. Some people will, tie money to it. Some people will tie flexibility to it. I have to say that having the flexible schedule, being able to be around for my family, being able to travel, work from home, those types of things, that to me means success for me.
Awesome. Yeah, we've been traveling a lot. We're actually in Australia right now, and going through all the different places is very interesting. And I'm sure like when you define truly what you want in your life, which for us right now is doing grid work and traveling and having fun times with my family, you of course need to balance the other side of your life as well. And I'm sure like that's where what you're working on as well, like being out there, sharing your message, and your genius, which is of course those numbers, which is so awesome. So what advice would you give to someone who's like just starting to get into their genius? What of course, what helped you decide to like go for it, right, and truly become an expert in your industry? Like any advice you would give to those who are kind of just starting out?
Well, I want them to know that there are going to be lots of ups and downs. It is a roller coaster ride to have your own business, but to keep going and keep believing, and to stay tuned to positive mindset work, things like that. Read good books, and listen to speakers and podcasts and things like that of people who have been through it, because just because maybe today you're feeling like you're not successful, like you failed, just know that there's success around the corner, and it does pass.
Right. I think like having books and just having the information to choose differently, I think it's very important as well. Like a lot of what I've done so far in my mindset work is like read books and not only just talk to people, but like that inner work is what kind of keeps you going, right? Like keeps you going like, hey, like I want to keep learning this, and just having that curiosity and that motivation is really important through the process of finding your genius.
Definitely. Love that.
Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you? I love that you share so much about, numbers and statistics and like the process of what you help people with. So how can they reach out to you and, get started?
My website is socialmediatrafficschool.com. And from there, they can get a free Facebook ads checklist. They can look at how to work with me, whatever they need. It's right there on the website.
Awesome. So thank you so much for taking time with me to share about your story and share about your expertise, which seems like it's all about numbers, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm actually a very numbers person as well, even though I do a lot of healings and clearings and I'm a healer. I really, really love looking at numbers and figuring things out and creating a blueprint and all. Reach out to Sally if you're really looking into getting some work with Facebook ads, getting an audit. That would be so awesome that they get a checklist right once they get on your website.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to her, and we'll continue my LeimomiTV interview series every 2 weeks. We have a new interview, and share with other people, 6-7-figure entrepreneurs who are just doing amazing things, who are master genius at what they do. And it's there on my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And everything else that I do on Facebook as well. I have Facebook, Instagram, and I have my social media. So reach out to Sally, and we'll see you guys for the next episode. Have a beautiful day. Aloha.